But for you to know, for you to see that some part of the dam had already collapsed, but you now downplay the danger, that is wickedness on another level. In fact, that is intentionally trying to slaughter people, your own people.
Hello, Nigerians. I want to quickly take you through the happening in Maiduguri. I'm sure you saw what happened in Maiduguri and how the dam gave up as a result of the rain. And from all understanding, about 70 or 80% of the town or the state has gone underwater. And I'm sure if you hear or if you listen to the whole thing that was said about how it happened, you will understand that the government are fully aware of the situation before it actually happened. And the steps that they were supposed to take to prevent it from happening were not properly taken. I'll let you listen to Adeola. I think she made more sense than I would probably have put together if I decide to do this myself.
Hi guys, in case you're wondering, what happened in Maiduguri is not a natural disaster. The government knew about it, they could have prevented it, they did not. In fact, people had been shouting for a long time that some part of the dam had collapsed, but the government officials said it's not true. But the biggest scammer and the biggest murderer in Nigeria is the government. I'll tell you why. The people of Maiduguri had been shouting for a long time now that the Alau Dam was collapsing. And you know, it's been raining a lot, so the water just kept piling up, and the residents had been shouting that there's water overflow from the dam, which poses a major threat to Maiduguri. People have been shouting, which is why a week ago, the governor finally sent a delegation, a high-powered delegation, that is what they call them, to go and assess the impact of the water overflow from the dam that people were complaining about. It is high-powered delegation because the secretary to Borno State government led the delegation, and they also took some engineers with them. But somehow, this high-powered delegation came back with a report that there was nothing to worry about. In fact, let me read what they said. They said, despite the high water level in the river, which led to overflow, the present condition does not pose a severe threat to the city. Maiduguri is safe. And this was all over the news, by the way, on September 5th. That was last week, Thursday. Some people reported it on Friday that Borno's government would like to assure its people that Maiduguri is safe. Do you know that in the middle of the night on Tuesday, they gave their report on Thursday, no be so. In the early hours of Tuesday, while people were still sleeping, 4 days after, some parts of the dike collapsed. That is the wall that had been holding the water back. And that sent a surge of water into the city. And because it happened at night, thousands of people were trapped. They said at least 37 people have died, But when they tell us 37, we know that it must be at least 50 people. And about 1 million people have been displaced. 1 million. Bridges are collapsing. Hospitals are being flooded. A new cancer center that just opened at the teaching hospital is now completely underwater. People were celebrating. People were excited when they opened that cancer center. It is one of the few radiotherapy and cancer centers in northern Nigeria, and in fact in the country as a whole. And all the world-class equipment that they just installed there, all of them are now soaked in water. Crops have been destroyed. Markets are flooded. People are hungry. There are people that have not eaten in days. And as expected, the price of food has jumped up significantly.
So after this explanation, where I'm going to is that our Nigerian leaders, they take things for granted. And this has been happening for donkey years. And they don't seem to learn. And the simple reason why they are not learning is because there are no consequences for impunity in Nigeria, particularly when it's perpetrated by the Nigerian leaders and the Nigerian government.
This flooding alert now came to them. Instead of the government to do something about it, they refuse because they know that when the flooding happens, they will get aid international aid will come and they will make way more money than the insecurity one. Now, for you to know that this government knew what they were doing, while all these things were happening, they quickly gave public holiday to schools. Those schools that they gave public holidays to, they are currently using them as IDP camps. Immediately, they started creating place for IDPs. Instead of preventing, they were looking for the cure, meaning they knew what they were doing. Now, the team boss, he buy a lot of people and put a lot of over 300,000 houses and their occupants in this place. Now, money don't come.
If you look at this same similar issue that happened in North Korea, where they had the same rain, flood. So, what is the difference between this country? What happened in North Korea and what happened in Nigeria? In North Korea, the people that were believed that should have prevented that flood happening, 30 of them were executed. 30 of them were executed.
And back home, he's been cracking down on his officials. Last month, devastating floods killed thousands of people in North Korea. They were caused by record-breaking rainfall and possibly triggered by climate change. But Kim Jong-un is blaming his officials for these floods. In fact, he's held 30 of them responsible for the disaster, and he executed all of them.
In July, North Korea was hit by massive floods on its western borders. Record-breaking rainfall caused widespread devastation. Large swaths of farmlands, entire roads, railway lines, and over 4,000 homes were submerged.
But in Nigeria, similar situation. Government officials went to this same place and confirmed that everything is fine. There's no cause for alarm. And when I tell you that I am a firm believer that if Nigeria goes back to capital punishment, to reset Nigeria, where it's an eye for an eye, a leader is giving money to construct road, he embezzles the money, let him go for it. A leader is giving money to build school that if he did not build, all these children would turn out to be bandit criminals. This leader needs to go for it. And by the time we use about 20 people or 20 leaders in Nigeria as example, believe you me, the Nigerian leader will sit tight. And from then, we can then sit down as a country and decide what we want to do and how we want to move Nigeria forward. This impunity of a thing by our Nigerian leaders has got to stop. We cannot just continue every day to complain about this impunity, because immunity that these our leaders have got have given them the power to do and undo. A governor, a vice governor, a president, they can steal as much as they want to steal. They can kill. Nothing is going to happen until after the 8 years. And then we've got judges who after that 8 years are ready, because of the so much money that they have stolen, to compromise and make sure that they defend this governor, vice governor, president to the last. In fact, everything has to happen from our judiciary. Some of these lawyers and judges need to be used as example for us to start getting Nigeria back to where it needs to get to. And for as long as we continue to say these things and it's not happening, then it will never happen. And like I always said, Nigeria can be reset by us going back to capital punishment. Or let's break it up and let every region in that small cluster look after itself. My only pity is for the ordinary northern people, because their leaders are not going to change. They will continue to do what they have been doing for donkey years, since the death of Sir Ahmadu Bello. And if nothing is done, eventually it's like a running tap. When it gets filled, it's going to pour. And the northerners will pour to the south, no matter what you do. So, and that is why we need, for one Nigeria, we need a courageous leader who is going to make sure that it's an eye for an eye. We go close to capital punishment. And if we are not going to go close to capital punishment, then every crime, particularly from our leaders, should be dealt with all seriousness in order to discourage others from doing it. We need to sit down as a country to agree on the constitution that is going to take us forward. But the present constitution, as we have all agreed, is just put together by one or two few people for the benefit of a part of the country. And that cannot carry on. So we need that leader who is going to understand that we need to take Nigeria out of the predicament that it's in. But finally, like I always said, none of these things are going to happen if you, the Nigerian people, don't stand up to put a stop to it. None of these leaders will put a stop to it. Look behind me here. This is a primary school, not a university. How many primary schools do you see in Nigeria that is looking like this? The amount of money that Yahaya Bello stole, over $800,000, can build about 20 of this same primary school. But it's never going to happen. This primary school, where the learning takes place, is barricaded. And if you look around me, where all the pitches are, as far as all that area you're looking at is all being barricaded. So for you to jump the first fence and then come on to the learning area, by the time you do that, the police are already around you. So we, the Nigerian people, we need this kind of schools for our children in Nigeria. Not all the dilapidated schools that are being built by these same leaders or these same ruiners we call leaders. So we need to join hands and we need to take Nigeria back. But it's not going to happen except we, the Nigerian people, start working towards taking our country back. And how is this going to happen? Play your part. Start playing a part. We cannot harvest without planting. So we need to start planting on how we are going to get Nigeria out of this predicament. It is very, very possible. It is very, very possible. But it has to take a lot of courage and determination to make it happen. And understanding that we are all afflicted, whether you are from the north, south, east, or west, by this same ruiners of Nigeria. We can take it back in whatever way, shape, or form. We can either do it by revolting in our numbers, or we can use the Constitution to rally around one person that we know has got that courage in order to take these people down. This is not about we take it from where we are now to where we want to take it to. No. Yes, we take it from here to where we want to take Nigeria to. And then we look back, and for every leader that has been responsible in the mess Nigeria is today, we have to fish them out and show them or use them as example for others to know that you don't mess with a country. You don't mess with people's life. Nigeria is not meant for one person. It's meant for the whole people. For the children of Nigeria, please, we need to rise up and make sure that we do everything we can in order to help these kids out of where they are. This is a primary school. It's free. People come to this school, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you are working, whether you are not working, your kids can always have the education from this primary school. Same thing secondary school, same thing university. They get a grant and they use that grant in order to complete their education. And immediately after that, they get a job. When are we going to get Nigeria back to that same situation? We used to have it many years ago. We used to have it, and it can still happen. Even though, as I'm saying, it's not that all these schools are free. But what I'm saying is you still pay, you get a job, you have a job, you are 100% certain that you will get a job. And after you get this job, the government takes about 20-25% of your wages as tax. And it is from this tax that all these schools, hospitals are maintained. So it's not like you're not paying, you are paying. But at least they make sure that they provide for your family, health-wise, they provide for your family, education-wise, they provide for your family in all manners. And that is where we need to get Nigeria to. So join this movement today. The time has come for us to come together as one. And if you're wondering, how do you join? How can you contribute? It's very simple. If you cannot do what I'm doing now, just make sure that you support those that are doing it. And how do you support? Subscribe to the channel, share this video, make sure it goes everywhere, because we've got a job in our hands and we have to do it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on my next video.